The final story today is that there is a rumor going around that you can no longer say gay in Florida. People are freaking out. The White House tweeted this. Today, conservative politicians in Florida advance legislation designed to attack LGBTQI plus kids. Instead of making growing up harder for young people, POTUS is focused on keeping schools open and supporting students' mental health. Now, what this is referring to is this bill that is being pushed by DeSantis, that they're trying to get some of this gender lunacy out of the schools. This has nothing to do with you can't say gay. This has nothing to do with not treating anyone equally under the law or anything else. But Brad Palumbo, who's been on the show and is a writer for Washington Examiner, he unpacked it a little more cleanly. That he tells us about the bill. It simply prohibits a school district from encouraging classroom discussion about sexual orientation or gender identity in primary grade levels. The proposed law also specifies encouragement of discussion on these topics that cannot be done in a manner that is not age appropriate or developmentally appropriate for students. Importantly, this bill does not prohibit students from having these discussions on their own initiative. Discussions of sexuality and gender identity simply can't be forced by the schools. Now, of course, the White House put our gay transportation secretary, Pete Buttigieg, out there to say how homophobic this whole thing is. Everyone's running around saying DeSantis hates gay people, all the usual nonsense. But literally, this is just about, are we going to indoctrinate these kids in third, fourth grade about issues that let them talk about it in eighth, ninth grade perhaps, or leave that to the parents, or homeschool, or whatever else. John, I suppose this doesn't surprise you when they try to pass something that's to stop lunacy, that they get called the bigots and the rest of it?
Yeah, not at all. I mean, look, they'll try to sell you, this White House and the corporate media, that Pete Buttigieg is the first Senate-confirmed gay cabinet-level appointee. That's not true. It was Rick Grinnell.
Yep.
As acting DNI and ambassador to Germany. Very good friend of mine and yours, Dave.
Yep.
History, leftist history, corporate media history, has bypassed Rick Grinnell. And no, this doesn't surprise me, but I think Brad Palumbo did a phenomenal job of unpacking this. He debunked their entire argument far better than I could. But the only last point I'll make is to the last segment. Where's the downside in not appointing 15,000 bureaucrats? We should see that as a massive conservative win. But now this is just more lunacy. You know what it is? DeSantis is doing so well. And I'm not a sycophant for anybody. I'll criticize anyone. That's well documented. But the old saying is true. When you're taking flack, you're over the target. And when you're taking indiscriminate flack, you're over a very nervous target. And that's where DeSantis is right now. They don't have anything to throw at him, so they're rolling out the old, he's a racist, he's homophobic, he's a bigot arguments. They're falling on deaf ears. They're not moving the political needle. I think, if anything, parents like Carol are going to read Palumbo's version of events, and it's only going to raise DeSantis' stock in their eyes.
Well, Carol, take it away.
So, it's funny, and I know that you three know this, but I'm sort of the squish in the room on trans stuff. I think conservatives aren't really handling it the way that I would prefer. Maybe that's a different conversation. But I think if you read this bill, it's specifically about grade school. And I think that, I got all these comments on Twitter when I pointed out that the media was following, obviously, the don't say gay labeling of the leftist groups. The media literally runs that in the headlines. Yep. I got all these comments being like, a high school gay student can't say that they're gay. It's like people do not understand what it's about at all. I had a mom in Staten Island in Brooklyn, which is a conservative part. I'm sorry, Staten Island in New York, a conservative part of New York, where her second grader, they read this book called, Is an Avocado a Fruit or a Vegetable? And it led to this whole discussion about, like, can you change your gender? It's second grade. Mm-hmm. Like, a second grader is extremely susceptible to outside opinion. And I think we really don't realize that small kids really do pick up a lot from their teachers. I read this bill. It's really short. Everybody should read it. I don't understand where in this bill it says you can't say gay. It's about not discussing sexual orientation, and straight is also a sexual orientation. So I don't get where that comes from. I genuinely don't. And again, I am the squish on this call. I have had trans friends in my life. I think, there is such a thing as trans people. And a lot of it is just we just don't talk about it the right way. But for kids, I think there's a bright line, and this bill makes that line bright. That's exactly what it does, and I have no problem with it.
Right. So as far as where it comes from, I think where it comes from is sort of what John just said, which is if you do anything against these people, they'll just say the horrible things about you. I saw all sorts of people saying, well, okay, now you can't come out of the closet if you're in high school, and of course that's not true. There's people were saying, oh, now they can openly discriminate, against a third grader if he has two dads. Of course, that's not true. It's all it's literally at every level nonsense. So, Dave,
let me just add, the bill specifies actually also it's about fostering discussion. So like if a teacher can actually say, I'm gay, I'm married, I'm a man married to a man, I'm a woman married to a woman, that's fine. As long as you're then not like, hey, second graders, what do you think about that? Like it's literally about fostering discussion, not about mentioning anything to do with gay or trans or any of it.
Right. And again, the only reason they're even doing something like this is because these people have pushed all of the gender identity confusion on these kids in the first place. And just for the record, I have no problem with anyone that's trans. You can live your life however you want to live, but we can put that aside. Dave, final thought on all of this, and then I'll let you guys go and get prepared for a big Florida weekend. I assume you all have awesome things to do, wrestling alligators and things. From a media perspective, is there anything DeSantis should be doing differently on this kind of stuff? He knows he's going to get hit on it, that we know they're going to lie. We know that Biden will lie, Buttigieg will lie, the media will parrot it. Is there anything else he can do on that front? Or that we should do, actually?
This was going to be my angle too, which is this is a test for DeSantis, and one that I'm pretty sure he's going to pass, which is to say that the trap that they're laying for him is to get him to sort of, respond to this in a very defensive, mainstream establishment GOP way, which is to say, oh no, I'm going to now spend, a half an hour talking about how much I love trans people, how much I love trans kids, but just this one thing is maybe going too far. I think the answer to that is, LOL GF. We've absolutely had enough. I think it's pretty funny that the same day that this popped into the news was the same day that the Department of Energy goes and hires a completely insane person.
Yeah.
Who was another one of these alphabet gender crusaders who whatever likes to pretend to be a dog or something like this.
We'll let people Google this on their own, or maybe not.
Yeah. I think that people are now seeing that we're dealing with utter depravity, and let's just go and say it. These people are groomers. The obsession that these activists, these gender activists, have with children, at this age, 5 through 8. And sexualizing them. It's completely insane. I think it's not even it's not even debatable what these people are doing and what they'd like to do. And the more that people see it, people see what who are the craziest people on TikTok. We have the Libs of TikTok account. The craziest people are the primary school teachers.